Hey everyone, I'm Matt with Ozark Overland Adventures, and in this video we're going to be talking about a brand new product from Bluetti. A year and a half ago or so, Bluetti released their little Charger 1. And I hate to use this term, but in the world of power stations and charging them while on the go in your vehicle, this was an absolute game changer. I hate that term, but it was. Because this allowed you to replace the little 12-volt charger that plugs into your cigarette outlet that would charge your power station at max about 95 watts. So if you just had a little power station like a little 300 watt, that wasn't so bad. But if you had a big power station like 1,000 watt or 2,000 watt power station, then that was going to take a long time of driving. But the Charger 1 came out, and this allowed you to charge a power station from your alternator. It's basically a DC-DC charger, but allowed you to charge your power station from your alternator at up to 560 watts, depending on what the solar input was for your power station, up to 560 watts, which when you're talking about a 1,000 watt hour power station, going from about 95 watts to 560 watts means going from 12 hours worth of charging to 2, which that's a big difference. But I've always felt like there was something missing in the power station charging space, because this, I don't know if you can see it because of the sun and the shadows, but this is the Red Arc BCDC 1250. It is a DC-DC charger designed to charge auxiliary batteries in the back of your vehicle. Now, what makes something like that so awesome is that not only is it a DC charger for the batteries off your alternator, it's an MPPT solar controller. So it will also charge your batteries from solar, all from one device. And I've always felt like when it comes to overlanding and, traveling out to remote destinations, not everybody wants to deal with that kind of complexity. Installing a DC-DC charger like that with auxiliary batteries, then having to run all the outputs and all that sort of stuff, it's a lot, and it can be very overwhelming to people that don't have a lot of experience doing that kind of wiring work. And that's where the power station comes in. That's why the power stations are so awesome. It's all in one. It's already there. You've got the little Bluetti Elite 100 here. It's got everything built in. It has the inverter, it has the solar controller, it has the AC charger, it's got 12-volt outputs and USB outputs. You don't have to wire all that stuff elsewhere. It's just all there. The challenge has been when you're driving or when you're parked, you had to have, you couldn't charge from the alternator and also charge from solar. But Bluetti has just come out with their brand new Charger 2. And this not only allows you to charge from your vehicle's battery, so a DC to DC charger, it is also a solar charge controller as well. Plus, it's got a bunch of other goodies up its very smart and intelligent sleeve. For size comparison, Charger 2 here, Charger 1 here. So a little more than, I'd say, twice the size of the Charger 1. So they definitely had to increase its footprint to allow you to do a lot more things. But what this does is it is not a 560 watt DC-DC charger. It is an up to 800 watt DC-DC charger that can simultaneously charge from solar at up to 600 watts. And when you combine them on a van or a camper or an overland rig, that sort of thing, when you combine the solar and the DC-DC charger, this thing can charge at up to 1,200 watts, which is quite unbelievable. But not only that, it's got all these little ports here. So it's got your alternator input, it's got your charging output, it has your solar input. Then it has these two little thingies right here that we'll get into. So in the box with the Charger 2, you get, obviously the Charger 2, you get some self-tapping screws here. You get 15 feet of, I'm not sure what gauge cable this is, 6-auge cable to run from your starter battery back to wherever you need to in your vehicle. I don't think this would be long enough to reach like the back of my Gladiator, but it would absolutely be long enough to reach the back of our new Wrangler, or just about any SUV. And if you need to, you could get longer and just kind of DIY it. But this is what it comes with. Is about 15 feet is what I measured. Then you get your solar input cord. So this is right here is what you'd plug into your solar panels to bring in power from the sun. You get then the charging output cable. Yes, these are the same cables. But this is the charging output cable, and what this does is this then plugs into the solar connectors on your power station. And it doesn't have to be a Bluetti power station. It can be any brand that accepts solar input. You may have to get an adapter depending on what it is. But you plug this into your power station's solar input. So it will accept, this will output the amount of power that your power station can input via solar. Does that make that? Hold on. This is the Bluetti Elite 100. It's a 1,000 watt hour power station. From solar, it can input up to 1,000 watts. So that's this power station's max is 1,000 watts of solar input. The Charger 2 charges through the solar input, not the AC input. It charges through the solar input. So you take your, let's see, they actually include one of these. They do include, if your power station has a XT60 connector down here for your DC input. That's what this little thing is for, that the Charger 2 comes with. So you plug the solar controller, or the solar cable here, into the output here, hook up your solar, and then from that go into the power station. So that's how it charges the power station, is through the solar controller, or through the solar input on the power station. So if your power station can only accept 800 watts of power, then that's all it's going to get. If your power station, like this Elite 100, can accept 1,000 watts of power through solar, then you're going to get 1,000 watts of input if you have enough solar and DC-DC charger input coming in. The way the Charger 2 works is if you have solar connected, which in my situation, I probably wouldn't, because I don't run solar panels on my vehicles. I carry portable panels for when I'm in a situation where we're going to be stopped. But what this does is it actually prioritizes solar. So this will do 600 watts of solar, 800 watts pulling from the alternator. That's more than 1,200 watts if you're mathing that. But it will prioritize solar. So if you can pump in, say you've got 400 watts of solar on the roof and you can get 400 watts of solar, then this is going to put 400 watts and it's only going to pull another 600 watts off the alternator instead of 800 to put 1,000 watts into the Elite 100. Is that math working for you? You understand how that's working? Hope so. So that's how that all works. And that's a huge deal because, even the Charger 1 at up to 560 watts. Well, 1,000 watt hour power station, let's say I drained it and needed to recharge it. Well, that's with this going to be pushing it at over 2 hours with this, maybe even 2.5. With the Charger 2, I can cut that time in half. Let's talk about the other things that this thing can do. And then I'm going to loosely install this. When I say loosely, I'm not mounting anything. I just want to test all this and see how it works. Because some of this stuff, honestly, my brain isn't comprehending how it works with some things. So the other things that this will do is this has a DC panel output. There we go. This is the DC hub that goes with the Apex 300. The DC hub that goes with the Charger 2 is exactly like this. Exactly. 12 volt sockets, USB ports, 50 amp Anderson output here, clips to clip on, if you want to clip on the back of a power station, or mounting this somewhere in your trailer or your van or your RV or whatever, back of your Overland rig. Very, very flexible thing here. I'm gonna go ahead and give you a con right now, because as the owner of this for the Elite 300, excuse me, the Apex 300, this is not the same output or the same plug-in that goes into the Charger 2 here. Bluetti makes a different version of the DC hub, the exact same hub, but a different version of the DC hub with inputs or outputs designed for the Charger 2. Now, someone who already has that one, is there a cord that you can change that? Because that would be really, really handy. If I already have one, I don't have to buy a second one. But anyway, that's one of my gripes. But that goes in here, DC panel, and then there's this communication port here so it can talk and be all intelligent stuff. And then it comes with this little cord here. And this is the part that I want to see exactly how it does, because as you can see, I haven't used this yet. But what this is, this plugs into here. And then another smart communication little port goes there. And then this plugs into some of Bluetti's, or I think all of Bluetti's expansion batteries and some of their power stations. Now, I have the Apex 300 that this is supposed to work with. So we're going to see how that goes, because what this is a bi-directional cable, which means both ways. Insert joke, never mind. But this is a bi-directional cable, which will allow you to pull power from the expansion battery or one of the other power stations that also has this connector. I think the AC200, I don't remember all of them, but there's a couple of them. But the Apex 300 that I have does this. Pull power from this, or from the expansion battery. And I don't know if it will also charge the expansion battery through this. That's the main piece that I don't know. But the coolest thing about this is the way it's hooked up to your battery, and with the expansion battery, in the app, you can turn on reverse direction, and it will, like, say you come out and you have a dead battery, you can jump start your starter battery off the expansion battery. That's cool. Or you can set it to just trickle charge your main battery. If you're gonna like leave it parked, let's say you have to go to the airport and you want to make sure your starter battery stays good, you can turn it on trickle charger, which that's awesome. I don't know anybody that's doing that. So we're gonna figure that out. But that's the Charger 2, and I think it's brilliant. I think it allows you to do things with power stations that before could only be done with auxiliary battery setups and those DC-DC chargers. But it allows you to do that with power stations and adds additional functionality and expandability that nobody else is doing. So Charger 2 is pretty cool. Now, I'm going to leave everything here on the bench, but I'm going to wire this up to the battery on our new Wrangler, and let's just see how all of this works. Now, I don't have solar going right now, so I'm not going to test the solar functions on it because I don't have enough solar to really test it. But yeah, let's figure this out. All right, first let's get everything plugged into here. You access all these little ports here on the back by just removing this little panel. Everything can be done with just a Phillips screwdriver. There we go. Now you have access to all the ports. First, let's do the connection to the battery. They make it super simple. Plus, minus, go into plus and minus. You don't have to be a wiring expert to do this. Now, I think the most difficult part of this installation is going to be deciding where you want to mount this in the vehicle, and then how you're going to run this wire up to the battery. Typically, that's going to be, probably in the back of your rig, maybe under the back seat, something like that. Then you're gonna have to run it up, tuck it in, all the trim panels and stuff, and find the firewall of your vehicle, pop it through the firewall, and then over to the battery. It's not hard. It sounds scary, but it's not. Now, one more gripe. I get really frustrated when companies don't include parts that you're most likely going to have to buy. Because this, in order to not be pulling from your battery while the vehicle is off, so that the alternator is not simultaneously charging the battery and that current going through and ultimately charging your power station, this does have a manual on and off switch, which is great. Absolutely great. And if you don't have a smart alternator for this thing to tell, and a way to communicate to this that it's time to wake up and come on, then you have to manually stop this. Most modern vehicles, like most, I don't know ones that don't, but most modern vehicles have smart alternators that regulate the current and do all the things they're supposed to do to keep your battery full and happy and healthy for the life of the battery. This has this little D+ port there that is a wire to run to your fuse box, to a fuse that's triggered when you start your vehicle. And that tells this, oh, vehicle's on, safe to charge. Boom, it wakes this up and goes. When you shut your vehicle off, it communicates to this, the vehicle is off, shut down, don't charge anymore. Because you could drain your starter battery if you forget to turn this off manually if you don't have that. The D+ cable, it's extra. Why is it extra? It shouldn't be extra. Or it should just be a simple wire that you can clamp on with this, and you can provide your own wire and put it in the fuse box and then run it to this without having to buy a special little adapter here. So it's not expensive, but it's just annoying that it doesn't include something that it should include, because most people have newer vehicles with smart alternators. End rant. Let's see. Then we're going to go output on this. So we're going to take these. We're going to take the screwdriver. There we go. And as before, positive to positive, negative to negative. Those go in there. Tighten those down. Now, I'm not going to install the solar panel because I don't have enough solar panels to matter. Obviously, can't install the DC panel because the DC one that I have doesn't work. But I will install this one, because this one I am really, really curious about. So, positive, positive, negative. There we go. Plug in the COM port. All right. For the setup we have, this is ready. Now to hook this up to the Jeep. Now Bluetti does also include a 75 amp fuse, which goes in line here. So let's do that. Okay, that one's on. Boom. I mean, it's just that easy. Hook it up, positive and negative. Now, if I had the D+ smart alternator cord, I would find a fuse in the fuse box that is triggered when the ignition is on, but I don't have that. So I will make sure that that is off and then start the Jeep. All right, got the Elite 100 connected to the Charger 2 and it's pulling 435 watts, which I did test it with the Charger 1 first. It was only pulling 300 and something watts with this. I think it has something to do with the fact that it's barely above freezing here, and so the BMS in the power station isn't allowing it to give max charge. That's my theory, but it's working. The Charger 2 is compatible with Bluetti's app, so you can control everything, monitor everything from the app, which is really nice. You can go in here to the settings and select charging voltage, go into advanced settings. This is where you can turn on the reverse charging. If I wanted to send power back into the battery, that's where you do that here in the app. It's pretty cool. Reverse charging I've currently got disabled, so I'm not going to do that because I don't need to charge my battery. But you can, trickle charge it, pulse, top up. Really handy feature to have to be able to jump start a battery from a power station. That's pretty awesome. So next, I want to plug in my Elite 300 or Apex 300, excuse me. Take this cord. I am really curious to see what this does. Whoa, okay. So this is dual charging the Elite 100 and the Apex 300. 450 watts into the Elite 100, 784 watts coming in to the Apex 300. I didn't expect that. That's wild. So, man, that is pumping it in. Okay, so if you just like have an expansion battery, you can just keep that in the back. Wow, that is freaking cool. I did not expect that. Did not expect that at all. Okay. And then with the expansion battery, you can, yeah, I didn't expect that. So you can have a crap ton of power in your van, in your Overland rig, in the back of your SUV, your trailer, whatever, being all done with this. Wow, that's awesome. I think I've covered everything. I think this is freaking amazing. The only thing I wish I had was the DC panel to be able to test that. Let me shut the Jeep off and give you final thoughts. All right, the Charger 2. I'm impressed. Actually, quite blown away. Not just by the charging of the power station, but the fact that this can integrate with an expansion battery and really serve as a, with the DC hub that, I know what it looks like and I know how it works, but I can't plug it in. But with the DC hub, you've got an entire power ecosystem here for your camper, van, RV, Overland rig. This is quite impressive. 800 watts of DC charging output, another 600 watts of solar input. I wish I could have been able to test that combo, but I just don't have that set up. Expansion batteries, reverse charging of your vehicle, jump starting your vehicle. That's trickle charging, like when you leave it at the airport. I am blown away, legit blown away. So the Charger 2, brand new from Bluetti. It's friggin' awesome. Link and discount code, all that sort of stuff, typical stuff, is in the description. Go check it out. If you are building out a new rig or a van or RV or whatever, and you don't want to get into the complexities of your own auxiliary whole battery setup thing, this is absolutely the way to go. This is it. This is impressive. So there you go. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. If you like what we're doing, if you like the video, please like, subscribe, all the good YouTube love. If you like what we're doing and you want to consider supporting the channel, gain access to special events, special content, and all of the GPS data from our trips, check out the Patreon link in the description or here on the QR code. And for all of our merchandise, go to shopoverlandapparel.com. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.